in Soweto, describing how they desperately tried to save the lives of children who died after eating food allegedly laced with a poisonous substance. Tsepo Williams says his grandchild was brought home by a stranger who picked him up along the side of the road, and he died shortly after he arrived in hospital. So with the one child that died in Soweto today, in total 3 children have died in Soweto and 2 on the West Rand.
A good Samaritan picked him up from the public road. Yeah. He brought him here home. His uncle, his also grandfather Tabo, was trying to resuscitate him on the sofa, on the couch. That's when I was woken up by the scream of the child, her mother. Then I went inside the house. I found that there's a child there. He's conscious. Then I had to rush to the 4th house where I could get help. And Bagam Tembo, they came and helped me with the transport. We rushed to Begimlangeni. We got there within a few minutes, 10 minutes to 9 minutes. The doctors called us and told us the child is normal. And now the doctors, they told us that as they opened the child's eye, they suspect that he's been ate poison.
All right, let's bring our reporter Manqoba Mchunu in. He's on the story. So, Manqoba, it's developing on a number of fronts. But am I correct? It is now 5 children in total that have died in the past week, potentially from suspected poisoning.
Certainly, said. In fact, we spoke to the families of the 2 boys in Soweto, who confirmed that their children had died of suspected poisoning. And then there's another case. That other case is in Protea South. And this is a different family, Sally, whose child, we understand, also had similar symptoms. The child was 14 years old and he had eaten an item from one of the foreign shop owns. In fact, that shop is outside his home, and this is when he then started presenting similar symptoms of vomiting and foaming in the mouth. They had also rushed this particular 14-year-old to Soweto Clinic, which is close to that area, and this is where he was then pronounced dead on arrival at that particular clinic. So they say that the reason why they've now spoken out is because they saw what had happened in the other areas, and they heard some of the symptoms that the children had been suffering from. And this is the reason why they then noticed that perhaps this might also be related to some poisoning of some sort. And they have confirmed that they are going to open a case with the police, and that they also had a visit from the clinic, which also had told this family that they suspect that their boy was also poisoned.
All right, so what we know about the 2 children who, did they die? I think it was on Sunday. These are children from Naledi in Soweto who went to apparently a spaza shop and bought biscuits. That's what we know about that case. Do we know if this 14-year-old who died on Tuesday, whose parents have just come forward, was he at the same shop? Was he in the same area as these children? So it's different. It's
different areas, said. In fact, the other one happened in Naledi, and this one happened in Protea South.
Okay.
And we understand that, Sally, since then, that particular shop has also been closed by community members, enraged community members, who insisted that they want this shop closed because they had suspicions then that after this child had eaten that item, and in fact that was the only item the family says he had eaten that afternoon before falling sick. So the community had then closed this particular shop. They demanded that it be closed. But Sally, it's just, when you look at these incidents, it's just alarming, when you see such young children being killed in this way. And of course, you can imagine what the families are going through at this particular point. In fact, I spoke to the families of, the 2 boys also earlier on, who are quite devastated, said they still just don't understand how this all happened and how their children had died in this way. Of course, we also spoke, Sally, earlier on to the MMC for Health in Johannesburg, and she alluded to the preliminary results, the investigations that they've been carrying out as the city, saying that they've been able to confirm traces of organophosphorus.
Organophosphate?
Organophosphate, in fact.
Isn't that a fertilizer?
It is a fertilizer, indeed, Sally. In fact,
in which case, though, are we talking? The 2 in Naledi? The
2 in Naledi, that is, Sally, yeah. We understand that this is one of the insecticides that is used in agriculture. And so what it seems to suggest, Sally, is that perhaps there might have been, poisoning that happened within that particular shop.
Accidental contamination.
Or
perhaps.
accidental contamination. At this point, it's not clear where the source of this particular compound is, but there are investigations that are still continuing, Sally. We know that the Department of Health is also investigating, the police are investigating, and there are swabs that have been taken from that shop, as well as we understand the manufacturer of this particular product is also going to be investigated as far as this is concerned. But perhaps let's take a listen to what the MMC had to say about their investigation and preliminary findings so far.
As we stand, we have taken samples from the tuck shops to check the exact cause of the death. But with regards to the hospital, we can confirm that one of the children, the result has confirmed that it's organic sulfate poisoning. So the other one, we are still awaiting results, and we haven't yet got our results from the laboratory from the sample that we took from the tuck shop. Remember, with organic phosphate, it might be insecticides. It's used mainly for insecticides, but yeah, like I'm saying, we haven't yet confirmed from this other shop that the biscuit that they actually ate do contain that. So as soon as we do receive the lab results, that's what actually gonna tell us is it that or not. If not, they have run a number of tests which we haven't got the results of. So we will be sure once we really get the result. But at the current moment, with no results, we can't be sure of the exact cause of the death of the two children.
Yeah, she's been very clear that traces of organophosphate found, but it's not definitively linked to the food these children consume. They still have to do those tests. But of course, today we also hear the news that 2 children died in Western area after going, we understand, buying food at a taxi rank.
Exactly, so we understand that in fact they bought chips and sweets from the taxi rank, and we understand from the department that there were 4 of these children. 2 of them died. They were taken to a clinic in Burkersdal, and by the time they arrived, they had already died. And we understand that the families are from Deep South, though, and that is where the case has then been opened. An inquest docket is being investigated by police. But also quite shocking, Sally, the ages of these young children. We're talking about children between the ages of 2 and 6 years old. It was 2 years, 3 years old, 4 years old, and the last one is 6 years old. So the 4-year-old and the 6-year-old are currently in hospital. The 2-year-old and the 3-year-old, those are the ones that died in this particular incident.
Do you think there's a possibility, if it is contaminated food, and we're still not clear, maybe in a warehouse there was a batch of food that was contaminated with a poisonous chemical, and that was then distributed to different people who sell it informally?
So that's part of the investigation. In fact, I spoke to the officials from the city of Johannesburg, and this is exactly what they say they'll be looking for. So they're not only investigating these particular shops. Of course, there are swabs that have been taken from these shops. There are samples that have also been taken in for testing by the police, as well as the city itself. But to understand, Sally, that they're also going to be reaching out as far as the companies, the manufacturers of these products, to check exactly where the source of this contamination, if there is.
In the meantime, though, how can people be sure that what they're buying to eat is safe?
Well, Sally, what we know is that, there's no guarantees, but what the department is saying is that this is a Department of Health in Gauteng. So they've started this awareness campaign now to try and educate people in those communities. So in Naledi, we saw a team that was there. We understand that this particular team consists of officials from the city, also infection control officials, as well as officials from, we understand, the provincial health department. So they are going around the community, Sally, to try and spread the word, to try and educate people about what has happened here and what to look out for, really. But I guess it's never enough, Sally. It remains a risk. Yeah,
absolutely. Gosh, an utterly tragic story. 5 children have now died. The suspicion is they could have been poisoned by food they purchased from informal street vendors or from spaza shops. Thank you so much, our reporter on that story, Manqoba Mchunu.